As someone with a passion for both woodworking and music, it's probably not too surprising that one build I've always wanted to try is making my own guitar. But I didn't want to just make any guitar, I wanted to recreate what I would say is the greatest guitar of all time. And everyone's got their opinions on what that might be, but the correct answer is, of course, Bruce Springsteen's early 50s Telecaster with an ash body. And so when I previously made a dining table out of ash, I set aside a big block of it just for this purpose. And so as you can see, the first thing I had to do was take this big block of wood and shape it down roughly into what the final guitar is going to look like. And I found this pretty helpful router template specifically for Telecasters. And so it helped a lot when I was marking out where I need to put all of the holes and where I need to carve out space for all the electronics to go. And for those who might not know, ash happens to be a particularly dense wood. So one of the big challenges early on in this was just getting through all of this dense wood and carving out all of these cavities. It took quite a lot of effort. And at this point, I couldn't help but give myself a quick sneak peek of what it was going to look like. If I learned anything from this build, it is the insane number of holes that are on an electric guitar. But luckily, they all just need to be exact or, it won't really work well. One thing I did find pretty helpful was going online and getting the actual blueprint from Fender of how they make their Telecaster, and that actually helped quite a bit for a lot of the finer details, like how deep does the neck pocket need to be, and where exactly do I connect it to the pickup cavity, and other things like that. So next I need to make some tunnels through the guitar so that I can connect the different parts of it and wire everything up later on. And finally, it's time for a lot of sanding. And before anyone comments, I'm well aware it's probably not a great idea to be sanding right next to a space heater, but I'm also building this in Colorado in the winter, so sometimes you just take your chances. After doing a slight round over the whole body, it is time for my favorite part of any build, applying the finish. But on a serious note, I could not be happier with the color of how this body came out. Now that the body is pretty much finished, it's time to start working on the electronics. Now, the first thing I'm doing here is applying this copper shielding, which is something you can do on electric guitars to hopefully reduce some of the extra hum and buzzing you might pick up. By using this copper tape and then soldering together all of the cavities, you create this Faraday cage, which should help keep a lot of electromagnetic interference from hitting the pickup. So the last step is just grounding it to our control plate here, and then it's time to start installing the pickup. And finally, after I feed these wires through to get them ready for the output jack, I can start installing the bridge. And then last thing is just soldering everything together to our pickup control. The last thing I need to do for that copper shielding is just to also apply the same treatment to the pickup guard, and I can install it. And as I was getting ready to install the neck, I discovered something really fun, which is that the tuning pegs I chose were slightly too big. And so, instead of getting the proper size, I just decided to drill straight into my neck and make them a little bigger. Perfect fit. And finally, I get to attach the neck to the guitar and start stringing her up. And now that I have myself a brand new Telecaster, I needed a new amp to go with it. And finally, it was time for the moment of truth. Alright, well it might need a little more dialing in before it sounds as good as Bruce's, but for my first guitar build, I could not be happier with how this thing turned out.